with him, and we exchanged emails a couple of times, and he travels all around the country. But I feel that what he just said, see, what's happening is that a lot of people don't want to deal with the overall adult returning citizen population. But what he just said, and what I figured out 3 or 4 years ago about the best way to fight recidivism is to get to the kids first. But I've been beat up so bad in front of so many people that just don't want to hear anything about helping the adult population. They're just afraid of it for lots of reasons. And there's other shows that I've got on the National Online Support Network where we can help people without actually having to be in physical contact to reduce the perceived risk, the actual risk. And so that's a whole lot of other stuff. But what I'm saying is I found on this trip through my personal experiences with so many people that the most motivated population of people that are in prison, that are coming out of prison, to succeed when they get out, because nobody's going to succeed unless they're motivated and make a decision to change, and we're there to help them change. The most motivated population that's coming out of prison are people that are going back to children and their families. And so what Saad just talked about, I feel like he's the kind of guy that I'm going to connect with and go further, because I'm a subset of what he's trying to do. I am focusing specifically on the 85%, but I am going to help everybody that's coming out of prison. I'm going to continue to go to prisons and meet people. And if they don't have kids and they're coming out, that's fine too. I love everybody. I've got one of the best things that happened to me from this trip. I got 2 letters from inmates in 2 different prisons within days of when I made my seminar, when I met them. And I just want to share a little excerpt of one of the letters. What I'm here to tell you, Richard, is I've gone out there. I said I was going to do it. I'm doing it. And there is such a need for people that want mentoring. They want positive relationships. They want friends. They want the agape love that we're going to give them through the National Online Support Network. They are begging for someone that, let me just read this. What's up? I've been trying to figure out what to say to you after you came to our prison. You confused me most of the time. You were back and forth like a cokehead. It was never a steady pace with you. Lots of laughs. But anyways, some shit you said got me thinking anyways. This prison, then he went on and talk about his prison experience and all the data he has and so forth. But to continue it, I don't want to share his whole letter. It's personal. But he says, I've been in and out of jails, prisons, a good part of my life. I don't know how to do taxes, save money, keep a steady job. And when I'm stressed out, I go to drugs to handle life on life terms. I've been in, and then he talked about his history and so forth and so on. But he talks about this debt situation he's in. It's a massive debt situation. He doesn't know how to get from under. He says, I know I need to get out of debt. I'm ready to get on a monthly payment plan to fix it. So I ask of you to make me a believer in what you can do to help me out with this stuff. If you can. It's very overwhelming and very stressful. I'm tired of not having a life and being responsible. Richard, I got a letter from an inmate 3 days after I met him. And that thing he said about being back and forth like a cokehead, a lot of people are going to laugh when they hear that because, yeah, Steve, I talk a lot. I go all over the place, but I generally stay back to what I'm talking about. That was one of the greatest compliments I've ever had in my life that I got. I want to read that again because he said, you were back and forth like a cokehead. It was never a steady pace with you. Lots of laughs. But this line right here, this is the connection that I have when I go in that I love what the Lord's allowed me to do. But anyways, some shit you said got me thinking anyways. What do you think of that stuff, Richard?
Well, it's pretty expressive. But like I said, you're reaching them in your way. And whether you're all over the place or directly focused, they get it. And that's proof of it. And, for somebody to write a letter like that, as transparent as that letter is, he's really saying, I need help. And I believe you can help me because I don't want to continue living the way I've been. And it's amazing. There's no difference in him and anybody else that's on the outside, except that he's been inside prisons for a long time.
Let me read you the part of my response to him. Receiving the letter that you wrote within days after my visit to your prison was an unexpected, wonderful surprise. I really enjoyed the way you expressed your confusion over my back and forth way of communicating that you said got you thinking. Let me just say before I go any further that I'm willing to accept you the way you are, complete with all your personality quirks, and I like it that you're willing to accept me the way I am. I love the way you shared that you're tired of not having a life and not being responsible. Giving me a chance to make you a believer in what I can do to help you make the changes that you desire is an honor that I accept with straightforward honesty and a sense of purpose. Thank you. And I go on to connect. Everybody that's listening, if you're a returning citizen, if you've got somebody in your family or whatever, Right Thinking Foundation is there to have a relationship, a personal relationship, to be your friend, non-judgmental, to see if we can face this together. Richard, I got a whole pile of surveys. I got a whole bunch of them from the prisons. What did you learn from being in the seminar? A reminder of the monumental task ahead of us upon release, but not to worry. Through the blessing of God's servant, we have an advocate through Steve to not only teach, but to motivate us to succeed. Open our eyes to books to build our knowledge and understanding before being released. What changes have you made in your spending since participating in the seminar? Be specific, indicate any savings that you have made. Although it's been just a day, the wheels have been turning on applying the lessons learned. The first change required for myself is strict discipline in setting goals and achieving them. How will the seminar help you? Knowing I have the resource available to start learning good financial discipline now, so the good habit carries on when released. Another great resource to enrich myself with more excellent book choices. You can never know enough or plan for every situation that you will face. Do you feel that the Right Thinking Foundation online support network will be beneficial to you upon release? If so, why? Yes, there will be times when the no's will be overwhelming, and we have the positive, reassuring talk who will help keep us focused and rejuvenate us to carry on. It is another great tool to have to help make us successful. Additional comments. Primarily, I feel this is a great program. I'm in a world of stigma for those with felonies. It's nice to have a program available to teach financial stability, to motivate us, and to be there when in need. We are always grateful when others don't turn their backs. Thank you for answering God's call. Looking forward to keeping in touch. I got a whole bunch of those. Richard, let me just tell you something else that happened, because I love what we're doing today. I'd like Chuck to cue up a couple of interviews that I had. I took my grandson to the park, slides, swings, things like that, and I just got into conversations because everybody said, hi, where are you? When I told them I'm from Norfolk and I traveled 600 miles to get to Oregon, they said why. I'd say went to prison. Chuck, would you cue up Sergio's interview, please? All these interviews that are getting ready to come up are about family values and things that we can do to get into families. That's what I'm trying to say. I connect it with real people. We know there's a problem out there, and that Right Thinking's got part of the solution.
Yes, sir. So I was telling you that I go all around the country, and I try to help people in prisons come back out to their families so they can give better parenting when they come out. And you tell me your life is kind of like that too, huh?
Yeah, that's why I came up to Oregon, just to get away from trouble.
Where were you from?
California, Central California, around Visalia. And, my family, they were gangsters, and, when I was in kindergarten, first grade, I started getting beat up with sticks and all that stuff, anything they had in hand. So by the time, I got a little bit older, I was like, well, I'm already getting beat up for this, so might as well join the gang. And I always like to I never liked being a follower. I've always liked my word to count. So I was like, I'm going to climb the ladder and be the head of the, something. So I was, made it to the second leader of the gang. And, just got in a bunch of troubles. And thank God I never got tattoos, because I knew one day I was going to regret that lifestyle. I just want to get out of it. So, never got any tattoos, besides the fact that I don't like needles. It was a good decision.
You told me your father and your uncle. Tell me the background with your father and your uncle.
My father wasn't in that stuff. He was just an agricultural worker. And but my uncles, they worked, and then they also, they had friends that were in it, so that's pretty much how they got in it too.
They were in gangs?
Through their friends, yeah.
So it's a cycle thing, huh?
Yeah.
Hard to break?
It's hard to break. When you're back then in California, that was pretty much the lifestyle, and that was back in the early 90s. And
how old are you?
I'm 29.
You look good.
Thank you. And
got a beautiful boy, I'll tell you that.
Thank you. And yeah, man, back then it was hard. It was hard because I didn't grow up with any role models in my family, any lawyer or doctor, someone to look up to be like, you know what, that's what I want to be, and that's what I want to study for. I didn't have that. Like I said, I was getting beat up at a young age by other rival gangsters.
How you get out?
Moving up here.
So you moved away you had enough?
You know, I went to jail, but the way is, once you're in it, you're out by death or jail. You know? But thank God, you know, Jesus Christ, that.
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole answer.
Yeah, He's the answer, and it was hard to get approved because I was already a threat to society. That's what I was labeled as now by the system, and you know, I couldn't be more than 100 feet from such places because I would get arrested because I was a threat to society, and you know, it was because of all of that pressure. My brother was living up here already, and that's what made me decide, well, you know, I'm going to check it out.
Good.
And then my dad, he brought me up here, and I liked it, you know, and up here, I was still kind of with that pride, because I was in it since I was a little kid, and so that pride, it was hard to break. It's hard to break pride. If you don't have Jesus in your heart, it's hard to break pride.
Where you find Jesus?
Here.
Who?
Here.
Some people to show you?
There was this lady that took my brother to church, and he stuck with it, and you know, they insisted and checked it out, and he liked it.
That's beautiful.
It's a drug addiction. I fell into drugs hard too, alcoholism, you know, being with women, you know, and caught an STD, and thank God that He was a healer. God was a healer from the STD. It's a crazy lifestyle, man. I wouldn't want to live it again. I won't recommend it to anybody.
You gave the answer, though.
Jesus is the answer.
Jesus is the answer.
Jesus is the answer for everything.
So you work for yourself now?
I work for myself.
What do you do?
Well, right now, you know, I'm just starting a business, a landscape business, maintenance.
Oh, geez. That's beautiful.
But other than that, I do pretty much anything. You know, construction.
Hey,
I'm a baker, and it's good. It's a good. Oregon is the place to be for me.
That's good.
I love it. I love the outdoors here.
So, you know, we started the conversation because I introduced myself and you told me your name was Sergio. And I told you about Sergio Mendez, Brazil 66.
Yeah.
And
Great band.
Yeah, so, but, you know, we connected. And but I got to tell you, I appreciate your testimony. And I got to tell you, God bless you for changing your life around the way you did. And I'm going to get out there and I'm going to go into prisons and I'm going to pull people out and send them back to their families with a whole different way of thinking.
Yeah. Well, all the praise be to God.
All the praise be to God. God bless you. Sergio.
I tried to get out of drug addiction 3 times. I had friends that went to rehab, came back out, and they didn't want nothing to do with it. 2 weeks later, they were already back in it, worse than they were at first. You know, so I saw that, I was like, well, people can't help me because this is not strength from, like, human strength. You can't fix it, you know? So Jesus was the answer to that. After overdosing twice, 20 hours laying down, I was, for sure, I thought I was going to die. And but God has a plan for everybody, and He has a plan for me.
He has a plan for me, too.
Yeah, He does.
And you're part of it.
Too.
You're part of it.
Listening.
Hey, thank you.
Richard, what do you think of that?
That is tremendous. You know, when you hear people that are looking at and willing to say they can't do it on their own, and God's the only answer, but yet we give them some practical means of being able to encourage them. That's a real blessing to be able to do that and to hear these types of responses and impromptu positions. There's no coincidence. You got to talk to these people, and they probably surprised you with some of the answers.
Oh, Richard, it's incredible the connections made. Let me let you hear another one. This is a man named Ruddy, and he's a 73-year-old man. Let's just cue him up. These are all about things that are going on in families across America that we're out here to try to help them find some of their answers.
What's your name, sir?
Ruddy Havel.
It's my pleasure, sir. Thanks for talking to me. So you can tell me your story.
So my story is I'm 73 years old. My father was a rageaholic. My mother was an alcoholic. I was on my own, went to college, scraped money together, went to graduate school, married. My wife left me, and I was on my own again. So I got drunk, became an alcoholic, I cleaned myself up, realized AA is good for stopping drinking, but it doesn't stop behaviors. Behaviors are what cause children of alcoholics are raised by people who have no skills at all. And so you have to go back to that time and reparent yourself as a child so you can become